Hello there, I'm Chris Slipe, the community manager here at Blank Hands. We are currently working on Coreborn Nations of the Ultracore. Now, if this is your first time here, Coreborn Nations of the Ultracore is a survival sandbox multiplayer game where you will leave the central city of Coreheim, which is one of the few surviving places after the wrath of Sorgoth. You will go out into the world to form new towns, make new connections with new people, and take back the lands that once were lost. We have a closed alpha coming up, and that is exactly what we are discussing in this video. So let's get into it. If you are seeing this, you've already seen the alpha is coming. 2nd of March. It is beginning. So we're here to talk about it, and I am with Rene and Hauke. How you both doing? Stressed, ready, prepped? Like
strange mix of excitement, like being nervous, and diarrhea, of course. Just generally, there's a lot of excitement, but there is also still a lot of work to do because we can finally invite people. But I guess Rene also has a big share of that.
Yeah, all good. So it's a lot of excitement. There is the pressure to finally get feedback from all of our fans, and then so it's really looking for people playing our game. So that's the greatest moment always. It was always the most fun. Like finally give it out and get the first feedback. It's always the most fun part. And
yeah, that's always amazing. Before we get into it, if you would just like to briefly introduce yourself, and if people who have seen the Q&As probably already know, but if you haven't, and this is your first video here, Rene, what do you do here at Blank Hands?
Yeah, I'm together with Hauke and Marcus, one of the founders. So we one of these people who had the idea to actually build this game. And I'm the executive producer, so I took care that everyone have something to do, take care that everyone does what needs to be done, and the nagging person in the back of everyone, like, hey, please do this now. So that's basically my job. And a big part of my job is also saying no. So that's particularly when Hauke comes with a new idea. I'm the one saying, no, that's my job.
That's a great idea. No.
So speaking of saying no to ideas, Hauke, what do you do here at Blank Hands for people that don't know?
I have ideas. I guess that's like part of my job description. I'm the creative director at Blank Hands, also co-founder together with Rene and Marcus. My job is to align the vision of the team. So most of the time, I either develop further the ideas of others, or I throw my ideas at them to develop them to a point where they can then make them into features. And in the end, I do my best to realign them with the vision of the game. Like sometimes a good example is that generally I ask at the end of a feature being developed, is that still social? Does that feel good to do with other players, or is it only fun for myself? And if it's only fun for myself, maybe that's not perfect. Like it's still a good idea, but not for our game. And then I'll text Rene and say, whatever they give you, just say no to that so that I can work on it again.
Awesome. Well, there we go. Now you know that's a peek into some higher level game development, ladies and gentlemen. It's a lot of people like Rene saying no to people like Hauke. So things run on time. So today we are here to talk about the alpha. As I said, we're going to talk about what you can expect, why we're doing an alpha, what we hope to learn, what we hope you learn. But first, I want to get into why are we holding an alpha? Like, because we're running a closed alpha, which is very different to a beta. And I know they've obviously got different names, but just to lay it out for people. So a lot of people will be used to things like, I always use the example of the Call of Duty beta, which is about 2 weeks before the game comes out, and you're basically just playing the game. Now, an alpha, very different from that. We are still very much in development, and this is, as Rene said, the very first time that anyone who isn't us or having us there, that's a very big distinction, will be playing the game. Like, whenever anyone's played the game, someone from our team's been there, if they're not us. Like, we've been there like, oh, hey, how's it going? Let me show you what this is, and da-da-da. This will be the first time.
Most of the time, yeah.
Yeah, none of that is going to be happening. So, what I want to know is, what are we looking to learn from the players? Like, why are we doing this alpha? What are we hoping to see? Rene, you could possibly answer this.
Yeah. So, as you already said, we're still in development, and for us, this is important to gain first feedback on all the ideas. So the ideas coming from the team, from Hauke, on our game design. So what you might have seen already in our videos before, or maybe also with the other things we shared, you're now able to test this and get real feedback. So it's not guided by us, where we sit next to someone and explaining it. You can explore yourselves, can give us feedback. Does this make sense to you? How does it feel like? Also, always very important at this point is, how is our balancing? Right now, we balance for a small group of people. Our blankets are 35 people, and we balance for 35. Right now, it's like, oh, it fits well for 35 people, but how does it is working for more than that? How does it feel like for hundreds of people, thousands of people? Is this good? Is this bad? And these are all learnings we need to do before we then make changes and adjust everything, and then go further. Also, we for sure want to have feedback on our aesthetics. Do you like the game we have built? Do you like the world we have built? You
better do, because we can't change it anymore.
Yeah. So all of this is important, and as you already mentioned, a lot of things are still in development. So it's not the final test to polish and find bugs to have a more decent launch. That's not the case. You will still find areas that are gray boxed, and a gray box is basically, it looks like a kid was drawing something on paper. It's like really a white block, and if you don't know what we have planned here, it's not clear what we have planned here. You will see this still in the game, and that's something that you shouldn't ignore. You can always come and ask us, and we're happy to answer these questions. But it's important to understand that these are still things to come, and maybe also then create some excitement with you, like, oh, there's more things to do and more things to explore.
Awesome. So one thing I did want to discuss is the idea that the game, this is going to people that aren't fully up on, like, if they've not played an alpha or if they've not played a beta, this might be surprising to them. But the game breaking is something we expect, and you could almost say is a good thing. It would be...
Yeah, like the more breaking, the better for us.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting. Hauke, if you'd like to elaborate on that at all, but like...
Oh, yeah. I think generally, if you've never been part of an alpha, and Rene already said it, a lot of people are familiar with the term of a beta, which is just, hey, I can basically freely sneak peek into a game very close to its release, and we'll probably have something like that too at a later stage. But currently, we are testing our systems, may it be on the server and technical side or on the game design side, and ideally they break as much as possible so that we can either during the alpha or ideally after the alpha can adjust systems to not break at the same spots again. So if you find a loophole where you can gather 20,000 wood in an hour, that seems to suck for the game, but in an alpha, that is exactly what we try to achieve. We want you to find these loopholes. For us, it is ideal if you find a weird way where you log in at the same time with someone with a similar nickname and then the server shuts down. That might suck for your experience in that moment, but I can't stress enough, the idea of an alpha is not at all to give you a great gaming experience, but rather to allow us to later give you that experience without any of the problems that the alpha already figured out for us. And that seems so anti-intuitive because you're playing a game, but you're a tester. You're technically not a customer in that moment, and we're not giving you what we would hand a customer. We're giving you what we would hand to a testing person. Ideally, of course, we did our best to still design something that is fun and that can give you a good 10 hours, ideally, of, hey, I enjoy this and I can play the game and most of the functionality is there, but we are not 100% sure, and that's why we're handing it to the people that are in the alpha.
Yeah, 100%. And as you said, ideally, we're not going to be releasing something that has any bugs that we're aware of. When you get it, as far as we know, it will work and it will work fine. But it's that element of, like you say, now suddenly there are, and I can already say because by the time you're seeing this, you've signed up. If you haven't, head to our Steam page. But there's thousands of people that have registered for this already. All of them have widely different computers and are in widely different parts of the world, of each small thing different within that cabinet. And so this is where we're going to find all the various errors that we're not currently aware of.
Yeah, I think that is a good point. As general, sorry, Rene, please go ahead.
Yeah, no, I launched so many games and was always like, whenever we felt like, oh, we are so good prepared, we launched a game and then players were finding things. Because no matter how good you prepare, it's always, you can't simulate you folks. It's like you're doing unexpected things. We are all human, we're all different. And that's a good thing, but you can't always test for what you think. You can only, we are just as smart as these 35 people can be. And now we need basically all of you to actually help us to become much smarter than that.
Man, and
I think that's a good point. Like you also brought it up, Chris, different operating systems. Because in the past, I've worked on a project where we did a voice-operated app system, and at some points you could type things in, and we run that thing through every testing thing, tested it in 12 million different phones, but never thought about the fact that someone could potentially try to put Hindi letters in lower caps into that, which is a thing I didn't know about. And as soon as it was thrown in, it broke everything. And the server went completely crazy because it had no idea what input that was. And that is why you test such things, because it's so unique how people operate, what their operating system is, what their hardware is. And it's like impossible to simulate that in a live service game as we are planning it with thousands of people.
Yeah. And I will say to that point as well, one very exciting thing that I've always found whenever a game comes out from the kind of developer side of it is just finding out what things people do that you never would have thought of, that are not breaking the game, that are not doing anything, but it's just like, oh, they're building stuff like I never thought that they would do this, or that they could build something like this, which would mean you could do this and X and Y and like all that stuff. And that's another thing that we're very excited about with the alpha, is just seeing like, oh, people really resonate with this that we didn't expect. Like, this is amazing to know. So
also stuff that people don't do. I don't know if you remember, Chris, during a playtest where you said, I can't find my way back to my base. And I have zero problems with orienting myself in general, but especially little on the map that I designed originally. So it's so fascinating to me when people get lost, because I do not know how your brain works. I do not understand what you are. And when I ask you, like, what do you know? And you're like, I know the area that rains. I'm like, how the hell is that how you orient yourself? But that was so interesting to me, because I realized, I see, maybe things are too uniformly similar, and that one thing stood out to you more than the giant windmill on the horizon, because that is just so far away that you didn't pay any attention. And that is another good way of learning from people, and why it's so important that you voice your opinion on the alpha. Even if it seems like useless feedback, it might be very useful to us to understand that you needed 2 hours to find the way to put stuff in your quick slots. That's not because you're stupid. That's because we did not think of a good way to tell you how to do things.
And also share with us things you enjoyed. So, and it might not be the things we want you to enjoy. I had this once that we were introducing a new location, and there was a nice view on a lake, which is for us like, okay, nice, but not adding much to the game itself. But people like to spend time there, meeting their friends, hanging out. It became a meeting spot. People like to meet there, so we learned like, okay, it's an important thing to have. So share these things with us as well. So not only what you liked about the systems we want you to experience, but also like, oh, I like to just sitting around in Piper's Whistle and watch the scenery. That's important feedback for us as well, because it gives us more of an idea what you like. And it's important. Yes, we started the whole thing that we want to build a game and we have an idea for it, but in the end it's the game we built for you, for you the players. And if you don't like it, then we fail it. It's nice that we folks at Blankhamps like it, but it's good. Achievement unlocked, but that's not what we want to do. But we want to build something you enjoy, that you have fun with, where you meet new friends, meet old friends, and have a fun time with. That's what we want, and that's the goal we try to achieve.
100%. And yeah. So there you go. That's what we're looking to get from this. Now, I want to get into, before we wrap things up, what people can expect in the alpha. So what they're going to be playing. Because, again, like we've mentioned this in spots. Like we've always talked about it. But it'd be good to lay out exactly what people are going to get to do in the alpha. Because we've also laid out our entire vision for the game over time. So the narrowed focus of this alpha, I think it'd be good to explain to either one of you who wants to start with what people can expect.
I mean, maybe I'll just go ahead and you correct what I forgot, Rene.
Yeah.
You will be able to go into Coreheim, our social hub, and interact with potentially everyone that plays this alpha. It might not be at the same time because we have different instances of Coreheim, but people who do not share your survival world even. From there, with your friends, strangers, or basically anyone that plays that game, you can potentially then join a survival world in which you can build a base, you can gather resources, you can fight enemies, like you can form a town. That town can be leveled up, and that town has to be defended from attacks. And there is a minimum, even though that might be more than minimum sounds right now, but let's call it a minimum. There is a minimum of game content around these town levels and how you go to the next one and how these attacks level with those town levels. So the general loop of the survival part of the game is already in. There is still, of course, a lot of the parts missing that we spoke about in other videos, but that is what you can generally expect. So basically, player building, town defenses, town leveling, and social interaction with other players, which also involves player trading, but only directly. There's no auction house, but you can go to Coreheim and can already trade with other players. So all the multiplayer features are generally in, and they are also incredibly important for us when it comes to testing, because you've probably heard this when you're in any way interacting with video game development. Building something is already hard enough, but building it in multiplayer is a completely different thing. So whenever you see something and it's not multiplayer yet, there is a lot of months ahead in development. And for us, multiplayer is already in, but that's why taking a new feature in takes us a lot longer. But yeah, Rene, I probably forgot things or there's something to add.
Yeah, I want to add a few things and also going into what you should not expect. What you should not be expecting is that you can alter your character to your likings. Everyone will have the same character. That's a decision we took to minimize a little bit potential feedback and focus more on other things. And that's something we probably test throughout the beta. But
also, we're already quite far in development. Maybe we can even share during the alpha some screenshots when questions come up. There is already character customization. We have the options. We're just not testing it in the alpha.
Yeah, and you might see it here and there on some NPCs. You see already in which direction it can take you. But you will be able to craft gear for your characters. We currently have multiple sets already in there, which you can freely combine. You can combine your lever with your Ambrosian set, and so you can differentiate already. Same with weapons, you will have different types of great swords, for example. That's something you will be there as well. We currently have 4 different sets of 3 different sets for building with the
5
basic.
actually.
It's actually 5. Okay.
4 will make it for sure. A 5th one is done, but we're not entirely sure yet if it will make it in. But there's at least 4.
Yeah. So it's you will be able to look into building different things. You will have to gather the resources for it. These are things to be expected, and you will see a not consistent UI. You will see things that are already done in the way we expect our UI to be, and you will see things that are still in some let's say developer lookalike thing. And
same with controls. Good that you bring that up, because controls is the same. The key bindings are not final at all. There will be things that are not at all how we intend them, and
yeah. And for us, it's important to get feedback on these as well. So if you see a UI that no matter if it's a development UI or one that we consider more of the final state, give us feedback on that, because that's important as well. And that's something that you should expect as well. So our focus is really on survival and the town part and what you can do there and if this is fine. And so yes, there might be some typical survival things still missing. So there are not so many different status effects that will affect you. And you were suffering a lot from hunger. That's something I can already tell you. So be aware to be hungry at some point, at least in the game. But that's for sure. But you will not have a broad variety here as well, because we want to focus on the initial system, if this is working, if this has some issues, and then expanding it further down the road. We already have a few more, which we are currently actively holding back, because we want to focus on the things that are more refined already and want to get feedback on these first. So yeah, that's from my side. Things I would like to add. So yeah, there's already plenty of things to explore.
There are, and this is the thing. Like you say, it's as a broad overview, it seems like survival, building the towns, and many people working together is kind of what we're focusing on. And this is kind of one of the core pillars. If you've heard us discuss this game before, this is one of the core pillars. And as Rene mentioned, this is probably the thing that at this point for us is the most refined. And also, as we said, with what we want to know, this is in here because we want to know if you like it and if it's fun to play. Because, we're doing it wrong if it turns out everybody says, no, not that. And then it's like, okay, let's refine. So that's all part of the alpha process. Now, speaking of the alpha, people probably want to know how to sign up to the alpha. And I can tell you right now, if you head to our Steam page, it is incredibly simple. Right underneath the coming soon button, there is something that says, join the Coreborn Nations of the Ultracore playtest. Click request access, and that is you entered into playing the alpha. Now, it is not guaranteed that everyone will be in the alpha. It's randomly selected by Steam to make it fair. So we're not picking people or anything like that. It's completely at random on Steam's end, but we are sending them out in waves, mostly because we want to see how the game reacts to more and more people joining the game. So we're going to see from there.
As we said in the beginning, we want to break things. Like, it might be frustrating, but the second we realize it's running smoothly, we will roll in more people to break it.
100%. Exactly. That's it. You invite, say, 100 people or something like that. And if everything breaks immediately, then we have some issues that we can look at straight away.
1,000 more.
Yeah, that's something for us to look at. But again, that's not what we're planning for, so we intend to keep inviting more and more people as it goes. But as I said, not everyone will get to play this. This is our closed alpha. There will, however, be an open beta in time. We don't have an exact date for that yet, but that is on the horizon. So that will be the point where absolutely everyone can play. But just so you all know, head to our Steam page, click request access. You are in, but you're not definitely going to play because we're going to be sending everything out in waves. So we will find out. March 2nd till March 5th. It's not long. Like, by the time people are watching this, it's probably like a week away. And yeah, it's...
Let's stop.
It's wild. And one thing I do want to say, be sure if you're not in our Discord already, be sure to join. You can go to discord.gg/Coreborn and you're in there. But we will have an entire section for the alpha that will also be live probably by the time you see this, just because why not, right? Like, might as well get it going. Yeah. But for bug reporting, everything like that, do head to our Discord. I've also set up some voice channels, so if you guys happen to, there's a looking for a group section as well. So if you guys are like, you know what, I just want to find if anyone's online playing, you can do that. You can use the voice channels. You can all hang out. But mostly, let us know. Let us know what you think of it, be it good, be it bad. Let us know what you think. All feedback is incredibly welcome, and the Discord will be the place to be to do that. So there you go. Yeah, March 2nd till March 5th. Not long now. And that's it for the alpha, for all the information you guys need. Now all we got to do is do it. That's it. Simple.
I mean, as we said, we are actually excited because we've worked on this for not as long as I wanted to, but for quite a while internally now. And I think it's coming to a point where we need more opinions. We need people to see this, ideally to love it, worst case to hate it, but then we can at least change it so it's more lovable. And
yeah. Man, there's lots of little things in the game that I mean, if you've been following our videos on YouTube, you've already seen some of the stuff that I'm excited for you to see. Actually, if you've been following our social, there's just giblins running around, and I'm really, but you've already seen them on our socials. But if you haven't, you don't know where they are. Try and find them. But anyway,
also they're pretty entertaining. Like every time in any presentation of the game, we come to the giblings, people are like, "Oh, what is that?"
Oh, dude, it was anyway. Or I'll just end up rambling. But it was so magical for me the day I logged in, and because I was used to my T-pose gibbling, and I had even made a character out of my T-pose gibbling. I was like, "Hey, T-pose gibbling, how you doing?" And then I went to the game, and there he is, moving around. I was like,
Yeah. When I presented the game to Gamers Time, it was also blew my mind when we just stood on the windmill and suddenly I turn around and there's a gibling standing behind us, dancing, waiting for us to move out of the way. And I was like, what the?
Oh, you're alive. Look at you.
Yeah.
And it's not only that. It's like every time I currently log into the game, I explore new things on our map. That's amazing.
Also, like, this is just a side note, but like, just getting in and out of Piper's Whistle is different from what you've seen in videos. Like, and that confused me because I started up the game and I played it and I was just like, wait, this is the entrance to Piper's Whistle. It's not the one I've known for so many months. Like, so there's a lot for you all. So even if you've seen our videos, there's a lot of stuff for you to explore and play. Yeah. On that note, let us wrap this up or I'll just be sitting here talking about all the various things that are exciting. Thank you very much for being here, Rene and Hauke, and for letting everyone know about the alpha. Again, head to our Steam page. March 2nd till March 5th, you could be playing the alpha, and we will be excited/stressed at the same time. So it's going to be good. Thank you both for joining me. We will see you in the alpha. We'll be playing with you. So we'll see you there.
I hope so.
Yeah. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.